But Myrlie Evers-Williams still came. People might remember her name because of her husband, Medgar Evers, who was assassinated in front of their home, y'all. Can you imagine? You're a civil rights family, because this isn't just one person, right? And he gets killed. She is the one who goes out on their front doorstep to find him bleeding, calls the hospital. He's carrying a stack of T-shirts that say Jim Crow must go. And then his last words in the hospital, he's trying to get up. He said, "Turn me loose." She's the one who finds him. And that's back in 1960. She doesn't stop. She doesn't stop. And so she becomes a global human rights activist. She comes to this grand opening, which is shrouded in controversy. Number one, they did the museum really well. Tells the honest truth. Number two, put yourself in her shoes, because in that museum, they have the very rifle used to assassinate her husband. She's standing steps away from it. And then number three, she goes and gives this inspiring public speech. And afterwards, I'm part of a small press conference that she's giving just for journalists. And somebody asked her, how does race relations now in the 2000s compare to, the civil rights movement, 1960s? And she said something very depressing. She said, well, I'm seeing things now that I hoped I'd never see again. The negativism coming from the highest places, a reference to the White House. She says, I'm a bit weary, which was an understatement, because she's in her mid-80s, and this is back in 2017. And by the way, she's still alive, so history's not that long ago, folks. Please don't think it's just black and white pictures. There are people living and breathing today who were part of the civil rights movement. And then she says something totally unexpected. She sounded a note of hope, and she said this phrase. She said, but it's something about the spirit of justice. Then she gives this powerful analogy of a horse that's been put out to pasture, but then it hears the bell. And she said, I like to think it's the bell of freedom. And all of a sudden, the back becomes straight and it becomes stiff. And then she has this phrase, and you become determined all over again.